I know everyone has been talking a lot about that one new thing lately. I mean, it seems like it just came out of nowhere. Or what about that viral post online? All of a sudden, everyone was watching it, talking about it, and sending texts to their friends about it. These things are totally trending right now. Everyone is so into them.
While a lot of trends can be lighthearted and fun, some trends aren't so funny. Trends like these can actually be harmful emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. So while it might not be easy to talk about trends that aren't healthy, I think it's important that we do. So that's why we're going to talk about one of these things this week.
Today, we're going to tackle something that honestly isn't a fun topic to talk about. We do a lot of fun stuff here, but today we're going to talk about something that's trending right now in youth culture that's pretty serious. And I really believe every single one of you is mature enough to hear and think about what we have to say. Today, we're going to talk about self-harm.
If you just got super uncomfortable because you or someone you know is involved in self-harm, I want to ask you not to tune me out. If you're hurting yourself, we're here for you. We support you, and we will not judge you. If someone you care about is hurting themselves, I hope you'll leave today with some ideas of how you can help support them.
Some of you may be curious because you've heard about kids hurting themselves and want to understand why they do it. You're in the right place too, because we're going to start that conversation today.
Or some of you might be tempted to tune out because you feel this doesn't apply to you, and heavy topics kind of make you nervous. And that's okay. But you know what? I encourage you to listen anyway, because you never know how God might want you to help someone in the future.
And lastly, if you get sick to your stomach or feel lightheaded when you hear about things like this, make sure you tell your small group leader that you aren't feeling well. To get started, there are a few things we want you to know about self-harm.
First, self-harm is when people intentionally injure themselves. Cutting is the most common type of self-harm, but it can come in many forms, like when people burn or hit themselves, abuse alcohol or drugs, or starve themselves.
For those of you who have never heard of or struggled with self-harm, I know it can be hard to understand why somebody would want to do that to themselves. The majority of students who cut or hurt themselves in other ways, they don't actually do it because they want to feel pain. They actually do it for relief. They want to feel better. They may be dealing with difficult things in their lives or maybe having disturbing thoughts. And so they self-injure to feel in control of their bodies and minds, to express their feelings, and to distract themselves from their other problems.
One time, a bee stung me, and it physically hurt me so bad that I remember thinking, I wish something else on me would start hurting so I would stop thinking about this bee sting. Cutting and some other forms of self-harm are similar to that. People who cut or hit or starve themselves are already in emotional pain. They're hurting from something that's going on in their lives. Maybe they're feeling lonely or depressed or anxious, and they want to distract themselves from that emotional pain with a different kind of pain, a pain that they can control. The physical pain of self-harm is a distraction from their emotional pain.
And for a little while, they might feel some temporary relief from their emotional pain. But the relief doesn't last. Think about it this way. If you broke your ankle, you can bandage it to help you feel better temporarily. But the pain would return again and again until a doctor could fix your ankle. The emotional pain people try to mask with self-harm is just like that. It returns again and again until they begin to deal with whatever is really causing it.
And here's the thing, cutting and other types of self-harm are hard to stop. It may help for a moment, and that temporary relief is what makes people return to it again and again. It's a cycle. Their heart hurts, and so they hurt their body, and they feel better until they feel bad again. So they hurt their body again. Self-harm doesn't fix the problem. Whatever people are trying to escape, they'll still be there when the moment is over. Stress from school, family problems, a broken heart, or feelings of rejection, loneliness, or depression, they don't just go away. And that emotional pain is real. So we need a healthy way to deal with the things that we're feeling.
Luckily, the Bible can help us when it comes to dealing with feelings that may tempt us to harm ourselves. We're going to be reading from a book in the New Testament called Luke, which is one of the 4 books written about Jesus' life here on earth. And in this particular chapter, we read about a Roman commander or centurion who had a servant at his home who was suffering so badly from a sickness that he was at the point of death. Because the commander cared about his servant, he wanted to help him. So he sent some people to ask Jesus to heal his friend.
Here's what happened. Jesus was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed." The commander couldn't bring himself to meet Jesus face to face, even though he wanted his servant healed. Something was going on inside of the commander that made him think he wasn't good enough to be in the presence of Jesus, and that he wasn't worthy of the help Jesus was offering.
And here's how the story ends. Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. And what I love about Jesus' response here is this. He is all in. Even when the Roman commander was too anxious or insecure to see him in person, Jesus stepped in. He showed up. And Jesus wants to do the same thing in our lives as well. Even when we feel like we're not worthy of Jesus' help, he helps anyway. Even when we feel too insecure or anxious or ashamed to ask him for help, Jesus helps anyway. Even when we're at our lowest point, Jesus helps. Why? Because to Jesus, we are worthy.
In the book of Psalms, we are reassured of this. The Lord hears his people when they call to him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. That means that no matter what, Jesus thinks everyone is worthy of his love and his help. Maybe you're having a really hard time right now and you've harmed yourself, or you're thinking about doing it. And maybe you're too ashamed to talk to someone you trust about what's going on. Or maybe you have a friend who's hurting themselves to ease the emotional pain in their life. No matter what the situation, Jesus thinks everyone is worthy. When we pray and ask God for him to give us peace, healing, and comfort, he will show up.
And we don't have to go through it alone. What I also love about this story from the Bible is that it's filled with friends who step in to help one another. Friends who go to Jesus on each other's behalf and ask him to get involved. And he does.
Why? Because Jesus believes we are worthy of love and help no matter what. If someone you care about is struggling with self-harm, you may feel helpless and scared. And as much as you might want to, you can't fix their situation. But you can do a few things to help them along the way.
Be a friend. A lot of people who struggle with self-harm also deal with a lot of shame and loneliness. So just being there for your friend can go a long way. Ask how they're feeling. Let them know you'll listen if they want to talk. And be compassionate. Be careful not to come across like you're judging them, but help create a space where they feel safe to share with you.
Don't try to fix it. It can be really scary to watch someone you love harm themselves, and you might feel the pressure to help them out of their situation. But you don't need to have the answers. You don't need to say the perfect words or know exactly how to help your friend get through this difficult time in their lives. Just tell them you care about them and are grateful they feel safe enough to share with you.
Go to God. In the book of Luke, we read about people who went to Jesus on their friend's behalf. And you can do this too. Pray for your friend who's self-harming and ask God to give them strength and comfort and healing to get through it. And then encourage your friend to do the same.
Talk to a trusted adult. Encourage your friend to go to a trusted adult for help and guidance. Offer to go with them if they're too afraid to do it alone. If your friend is in danger and you know about it, it's okay to talk to a trusted adult and ask for advice on how to help.
And if you're struggling with self-harm, remember, Jesus believes you are worthy of love and help no matter what. You may not think you're worth loving or helping, but you are. You're God's child, loved and adored, created in his image for a life full of purpose. And you can start seeing yourself through that lens by taking these 3 small steps.
1, don't go through it alone. There are people in your life who think you're amazing and will do anything they possibly can to help you find healing. Moms and dads, aunts and uncles, teachers and coaches, friends and siblings, school counselors and neighbors, family, friends and loved ones, and of course, your small group leaders and your student ministry staff. Find just one safe adult that you can trust and take the first step to being honest with them about what's going on in your life. And I know this feels like a risky move, but there are people all over this room who love you, who see your worth, and who will not make you feel shame or embarrassment over anything you tell them. They want to help you because they believe you're worthy, and they don't want you to go through this alone.
And 2, stay connected. A lot of people who self-harm feel isolated and hidden from others. So if you're struggling to avoid self-harm right now, be intentional about staying connected to people closest to you. Instead of hiding in your room or staying behind a computer screen, find just one thing you can do to stay connected to the people around you. Text a small group leader, babysit, hang out with your parents in the living room, invite a friend over, go for a walk with your siblings. You don't have to open up completely about what's going on, but just simply come out of isolation and be surrounded with people who care about you. It can go a long way in helping you create new habits for coping with your feelings.
And 3, go to God. Ask God to give you the courage to seek help. Ask God to help you understand what it is that you're really feeling. And ask God to draw near to you because He promises He will. As we close today, I want to remind you of this. God believes we are worthy of love and help no matter what.
Now, I know we've covered a lot, and it's a really big conversation to start. But just know that if you need help, or if you have a friend who needs help, we want to offer support. But we can't help if we don't know. And we want to help, not get you or your friend in trouble. We want to point you or your friend towards Jesus for help and healing. We want to help because we know that everyone is worthy of God's love. So as you leave, here's the question I want you to think about. Who is one trusted person in my life I can turn to for help?